Hey, what is up, and welcome back everybody to the Film Chronicles. I'm here today with another video for you guys regarding some Mandalorian news, so let's just jump right into this and dig deep into the Mandalorian Season 2. Obvious spoiler warnings, just so you guys know. I would definitely recommend only watching this video if you've already seen Season 1 of The Mandalorian. Otherwise, pretty much everything's going to be spoiled. Alright, so let's sit back, strap your seatbelts, and The Slave 2. Sorry, boo. That was a pretty lame Star Wars joke. The Slave 2, I don't know if you guys know, that's Boba Fett's ship, actually. So I just tried to make a stupid joke, but sorry, I'm pretty terrible. Alrighty, anyways, let's just jump right into it. So as far as the end of Season 1 for The Mandalorian, as you guys all remember, what had happened is the Mandalorian stood off with Baby Yoda against Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon almost actually got away with Baby Yoda and tried to fly away, but then Mandalorian did this pretty awesome move where he attached his zip cord, I'm gonna call it, from his little wrist rocket thing. Attached it on there, caused Gideon's cruiser to crash. Then the Mandalorian decides that he needs to take Baby Yoda to go and find other Force-sensitive trainers, basically, or find somebody that knows more about this Force-sensitivity child, so that way he can do what's best with him and do what's right by him. And as we saw in the Season 1 of The Mandalorian, the theme of redemption and like unity by family is going to still continue with the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. Effectively, Baby Yoda is the Mandalorian just by adopting the crest. He's the same as Mando, where he's a foundling found by Mandalorian himself and taken into his creed, which was kind of the whole point of the Armor episode, where she brandished him with a new logo for Mando and Baby Yoda specifically, and she even says that verbatim. No, I don't think we're gonna see Baby Yoda in some Mandalorian gear. I just think that we're gonna see a continuation, obviously, of their journeys, where he's gonna go based on information that he gets from actual sources that he has, or just on the fly by interrogating the people of whatever planet he decides to land on. So it's safe to say that it's going to follow the same format, so to speak, that we saw with Season 1 of The Mandalorian, where he's going to have a main storyline, but within each episode he's going to stop for certain bounties, and that's how we're going to see interactions of other side characters, because there is some pretty big news that we do have going past, just Season 2 story details. One of them is that we are getting Boba Fett back into the fray. And Boba Fett, as you know, is probably one of the more iconic characters from the Star Wars franchise. Without him, effectively, we probably wouldn't even have the Mandalorian TV show whatsoever for Disney+. I don't think that would exist, because by introducing Boba Fett, you introduced all the Mandalorian lore and everything that was made up for the Mandalorians themselves, with the mythosaur icon that we saw brandished on Boba Fett's armor. And I will note that Boba Fett is not a part of the Mandalorian themselves, he just stole the armor, just so you guys know. And as I was saying earlier, this season is going to pick up with the theme of redemption. We're going to see it with Baby Yoda and Mando himself, but we're also going to see it with Boba Fett. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, but mainly Jon Favreau. He's been the one kind of having interviews and been talking about Boba Fett more recently, but one of his statements basically said that they want to redeem the Boba Fett that we saw die in Return of the Jedi, so to speak. He wants, just as much as the fans want, he wants to build Boba Fett back up to the hype that they built for him during Empire Strikes Back. I think it's just unceremonious how he got knocked down accidentally, rolled over, and fell into the Sarlacc pit. But hey, I guess we could let bygones be bygones with this casting announcement. The casting announcement is actually pretty cool, because we had Tamora Morrison, who originally played Jango Fett and gave pretty much the clone schematic for all the clones and throughout the whole Star Wars Clone Wars movie. And he also came back and he redubbed Boba Fett's voice in all of the original Star Wars movies. So Star Wars A New Hope, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars Return of the Jedi, which is actually pretty cool. So now we're going to see him back into the Star Wars universe as Boba Fett himself. So this is really exciting news, because now we're going to get a redeemed story about Boba Fett. We're no longer going to have to sit with the fact that he just got wiped out by a blinded Han Solo. I think that's really shitty of a way to get rid of a character who's so badass and has so much potential as someone like Boba Fett. But in Boba Fett related news, we are getting some other confirmation that Timothy Olyphant, who's actually a really phenomenal actor, and he plays a lot of roles that I love. One of the movies that comes in mind all the time when I think of his name is The Crazies, which I think is one of the better zombie movies to come out and be a remake. So there's that. But this actually confirms that we are getting some more canon in terms of the novels and other supplementary sources that Star Wars does put out. So this guy that Timothy Olyphant is going to be playing comes from the Star Wars novel Aftermath, and he's going to be playing someone called Cobb Vanth. So Chuck Wendig's Aftermath takes place after Return of the Jedi, some years before Force Awakens, and basically it introduced a character named Cobb Vanth. So Vanth wears a mysterious set of Mandalorian armor that was acquired from Jawas who scavenged Jabba's little palace ship when it crashed over the Sarlacc pit. And obviously that's the same site where we saw Boba Fett fall into the Sarlacc pit. And obviously from there it's widely assumed that Vanth is wearing Boba Fett's notorious green Mandalorian armor. So Vanth himself is not necessarily a villain. He's actually some former slave that is committing his life to protecting something called Freetown, which is basically in crime-consumed Tatooine. And Tatooine's only crime-consumed because Jabba the Gangster has died, and this again takes place after the events of Return of the Jedi. So Boba Fett doesn't necessarily appear in Aftermath, so I'm going to go ahead and state that right now. But what we can draw from this is that they're going to obviously borrow elements that were set up in Aftermath. So now that we have another character that possibly has Boba Fett's armor, it would make sense and also explain a couple of things. One of those things is going to be the mystery character that walks up to Fennec's dead body, or quote-unquote dead body, because a lot of fans obviously think she's still alive. But whoever that was that walked up to her dead body had the same spur sounds and had, I mean, a longer cape than Boba Fett's, but it was still a cape nonetheless. So that was kind of a big clue to it being Boba Fett, or maybe someone wearing Boba Fett's armor. So this casting and this character announcement does essentially confirm that Cobb Vanth will be wearing Boba Fett's armor, and we'll see Boba Fett himself either get that back some way or another. So yes, we will see some sort of throwdown, showdown between Vanth and Boba Fett himself, and then we'll eventually see Boba Fett regain his notorious green armor. But I do want to say that Boba Fett's role is confirmed to be pretty small. They've kind of not necessarily confirmed, but they've said that he's only going to appear maybe 2 to 3 episodes in some sort of minor backstory role. And that's what I was saying earlier in the video, that we're going to see Mandalorian go on his main voyage, but we are going to see him have to stop at certain planets to do certain bounties in order to keep buying them fuel to keep traveling and find Baby Yoda, his mentor figure, basically. And then just to confirm and clarify, Boba Fett is not the villain of Season 2. That's still going to be Moff Gideon. As you saw, he has the Darksaber. So don't get that mixed up. Like I said, it's very minor. And speaking of mentor figures, this is also another good casting news. We also have Ahsoka Tano coming into The Mandalorian Season 2, played by Rosario Dawson. So now it's confirmed that we do have a Jedi showing up in Mandalorian Season 2. And not only that, but since this show is canon, we do have confirmation that there were Jedi still in existence pretty much after Return of the Jedi and some years before Force Awakens. So that sets up a little more story, and that also fills in more gaps between that time frame of the fall of the Empire and the events of Rey awakening her Force powers. I really think they are going to go the angle of using Ahsoka as sort of the mentor that Baby Yoda needs in the Force. Since Baby Yoda is Force sensitive and has done numerous Force sensitive things throughout the show, it's only natural that this is what's going to happen next. So it is exciting to see how that is going to play out and what sort of adversaries and complications that they're going to run into when they do come across Ahsoka Tano. And they could be coming across Ahsoka and Captain Rex. Since they have Tamora Morrison, they could easily just also have him cast in that role too. And I guess the final little tease of information that I have here is that they are going to be bringing Admiral Thrawn into some form on the Disney Plus shows. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to pop up on The Mandalorian Season 2 because that hasn't been said, but there's been a casting announcement. They just haven't announced who got cast into the role or if they even cast anybody to begin with. But it's safe to say, since they announced a couple of other Disney Plus series such as the Kenobi series and also now the Ahsoka Tano series, it makes sense that they would introduce Admiral Thrawn, and that could also mean that they would bring in Ezra Bridger and kind of fill in that story gap as well. And we'll start to see more of the ever-expanding Star Wars story that we've seen play out so far only in movies and a couple of canonized supplemental material, like I've been saying, because there's a lot of stuff out there and not everything is canon. So that's important to know between canon and legend material, which is unfortunate because some of the legend material is pretty damn good, and I do wish that they would adapt it. And that's pretty much it so far for the Mandalorian news. As far as some other Star Wars news, I mean, it's been rumored that they're working on some sort of Knights of the Old Republic adaptation, and then they're gonna go through with some new stories with something called the High Republic, and I'll go ahead and put a little picture of that in the background right here. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see the more that they start to talk and the more that they start to announce, because at this point nothing concrete has been given. It's all pretty much preliminary stuff, as they wouldn't really try to give all the details out. And that's pretty much it for this Mandalorian Mondays video. This is all the current updates that we have here. It's going to be an exciting thing to see this season. It is on track to release despite any of the COVID shutdowns and anything like that, which is really good. Jon Favreau said it's pretty much been done essentially. They weren't worried about not finishing it by the end of the year, and that's a good sign too, because that also means that the same thing applies to the Scarlet Witch and Vision show and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show that's also going to be coming on Disney Plus later this year, that those are on track too. And with that being said, I think that's everything, so make sure you guys are on the lookout. The next couple of videos will be announced shortly on some other topics. I did mention a few of them in the last video that I did today, and then some right now with the MCU news. That's going to be a video for Wednesday. We'll be going over some of the Disney Plus news. And as always, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button, go ahead and comment, hit the subscribe, and make sure you turn on the notification bell if you guys want to get more updated videos. That is a good way to get all the current videos. As always, stay safe and have a good one, and remember, it's your friendly neighborhood film geek, the Film Chronicles.